All right, SAT 22 for week 7. Let's take a look at our classic multiple choice question involving some percentages. In 2008, Xena earned 14% more than in 2007, and in 2009, Xena earned 4% more than in 2008. If Xena earned Y times as much in 2009 as in 2007, what is the value of Y? All right, before we hit our solution here, let's take a look at how we did. And you can see green is actually the correct answer here, 76.1. Not bad at all. And the other ones are roughly evenly split, but we have a slightly bigger spike on C. Okay, and how do we get our solution? This is the first time this kind of thing has happened. Yes, Desmos still came out on top. However, not by much. Almost half-thirds, almost. Okay, and then we thought that this thing was roughly a medium level question, just slightly skewed, just slightly towards the tougher side. All right, let's dive into our solution. Now, in order to make sense of this, I am going to take you on a small little journey, a shopping journey. Okay, so let's say, for example, that we are going shopping and we bought an item that cost 20 bucks. Chances are we're not going to walk out of the store just $20 lighter. Instead, we're going to have to pay some tax on this. So this is usually, let's say 8% tax or sales tax, so plus 8% tax. Another way of thinking of this is that we are paying 8% more than the cost of that item. 8% more than the cost. Okay, so I'm relating this to the problem that we have because that's kind of what's happening with Xena here. She's earning 14% more than she did a previous year. So the way that you tackle this is like so. So I'm going to take the cost of my item, $20, and then I'm going to multiply it by 8%, but of course I need to convert that into a decimal, which is 0.08. Okay, so all this is going to do is tell me the amount of tax that $20 is basically going to charge me. I need to now add this thing back to the original cost of the item. So this is plus the original $20. Now, rather than me throw this into the calculator, because I really don't care about what the actual cost is, I'm going to notice that there's a common factor of 20 right here that I'm going to factor out. So when I factor out that 20, I have 0.08 plus, and then whenever I factor out the 20 from 20, you just get 1. And this is the important thing to realize, is that we are adding 1 to our rate. R plus 1. And in this case, whenever I look at this in simplified form, is just 1.08. It's like 108%. And this is what I always do whenever I'm increasing by a certain percent. You add 1 to that percentage, and then what it's going to do is it's going to basically take the percentage of your number and add it back to the original. When you get into Algebra 2 next year, you're going to do this repeatedly in an exponential kind of fashion. All right, so something to look forward to. Okay, so now I think we are ready to tackle this question. So let's take this first part that says she earned 14% more in 2008, I guess, than in 2007. So I need to start with that. So I'm going to maybe write myself sort of an equation here. 2008, 14% more than 2007? Yeah. All right, let's define some variables so we can actually turn this thing into an equation. So I'm just going to start my alphabet with an A for this guy, and this one being a B. So here's what my equation is going to look like. So B is equal to 14% more. Remember, I'm going to take my percentage, and I'm going to add 1 to that rate. So this is 1.14 times the A. That's going to take 14% of this amount, whatever the heck it is, and it's going to add it back to that amount. Perfect. Okay, so here's our first equation. All right, now let's look at the second part of this. Zena, so in 2009, she earned 4% more than in 2008. So I'll write this one out in words as well. So 2009 is 4% more than 2008. Okay, so let's define some variables for this one. Well, I already have 2008. This one is our B, and I don't have something for 2009, so I don't know. I guess I can call it a C. And now let's write this equation. So this equation is going to be C is equal to, and once again, since I'm increasing by 4%, it's really going to be written as 104% once I add my 1 to my rate. So 1.04, and then multiply that times the B. Okay, so here is my second equation, and I am almost done. Okay, so if Zena earns Y times as much in 2009 as 2007, what's the value of Y? So basically what we want to do is compare the 2009, which is our C value, to 2007, which is our A value. And this is super easy to do. It almost suggests itself to you with the way that we wrote our equations, because B here is equal to 1.14 times A. So I can just do a simple substitution, take out this B, replace it with the expression that contains an A in it, and that will automatically relate the 2009 to the 2007. So let's do that little substitution. So C is equal to 1.04. Take out the B, replace it with 1.14A. And now all I have to do is a little bit of multiplication. So here's Desmos. I'm not going to multiply that by hand. So 1.04 times 1.14, and it is 1.1856. So C is equal to 1.1856 times A. Right, and now I have pretty much answered the question, because it says that she earns Y times as much in 2009 as 2007. So if I rewrite my equation, this is essentially C is equal to Y times A, and just matching these things up, I can see that my Y value is equal to 1.1856. So basically an 18.56% increase, which is answer choice D.